Greetings ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and once again I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog Megamix for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive for those of you who lived in Europe, or depending on what version you'd be playing on. Obviously I'm going to be still playing through the Sega Mega CD version, because that's the way how I roll. So, anyways, the last time we have basically managed able to win through 3 zones with 3 different characters. We did manage able to show off Sonic, Tails, and Mighty the Armadillo from between the forms of Sunny Shores, Dark Fortress Zone, and of course City Outskirts Zone. And also we did manage able to collect all 6 Chaos Emeralds, particularly for the forms of those playthroughs in mind. So yeah, something's worth bringing this out. And today, for this video, it's going to be the finale portion of the game, because much like in, well, any other Game Gear Sonic titles or something like that, this is going to be very quick as a result. So either way though, yeah, today for this video is the fact that we're about to be able to, well, finish the game by going through the final 3 zones in the game by going through, well, first of all, we're going to be hit on to Misty Maze Zone as Knuckles the Echidna. So yes, as to be expected, because obviously we've only got 2 more playable characters left, and so we basically go back to square one for Sonic the Hedgehog, which is in this case me. So yeah, let's get to it with Misty Maze Zone. And if you couldn't tell for this background, as you probably saw, this is actually based off from the forms of, not only the background is actually based off from Special Stage 4 from the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog CD, but also this entire zone itself, it's basically Labyrinth Zone, except the fact that it's a lot more brighter, as well as it does manage to take place on the outside instead of the forms of, well, the inside the forms of the temple ruins and stuff like that, which is always swell. And obviously, if you couldn't tell what this invincibility theme is actually based off from, it's based off from Sonic Advance 2 and Sonic Advance 3. Because mind you, the only reason why I did not mention Sonic Advance 1, because obviously it borrows exactly the same identical classic invincibility theme from the classic Mega Drive days. So that's something worth mentioning for the sake of convenience, that is. So anyways, how it works for Knuckles in this game, it plays out pretty much like the forms of how it does it on Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, where, as you can tell, he can able to actually glide, and of course climb into walls if you somehow manage to collide with the wall and able to actually climb down or up. So yeah, you probably get the idea about how he actually plays out to be. I don't think he does manage to pull off a special technique or something like this, because as far as I'm aware, that usually I can think about the forms of another playable character, which I'll get into in a moment after we're done with this entire zone. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention is the fact that for the one-up jingle for Knuckles, in terms of what that was based off from, it's actually based off from, I would say, a congratulations message from the likes of Sonic Adventure 2, if I recall correctly. Although I may be wrong, but let me know in the comments. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So yeah, today's date is of course the 27th of December today, in this case in 2022 today, according to this particular recording session. Basically we've only got about roughly 5 days to go until we basically moved on to 2023. So yeah, that should be exciting, especially noticeable that, well, I'm sure that I'll let some toys else or Maxi will able to talk more details onto that though, until whenever he goes on to, let's just say, the final Let's Play in terms of 2022 itself. But either way though, we'll just have to able to wait and find out until when that time comes. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So of course, to be expected with Misty Maze Zone, as you can tell that I said this before, is based off from Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1, and of course there's going to be a lot of water to avoid. And on top of all that stuff though, assuming if you have the bubble shield with you, basically the bubble shield is a godsend on this level, because, well, it seems pretty obvious that you can able to actually survive underwater for like infinite air, while assuming, again, if you have a bubble shield, because without it, then you're going to be able to utilize the air bubbles in order to survive. So yeah, just like in any other classic Sonic games, as to be expected. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So And by the way, Act 1 on Misty Maze Zone is actually very lengthy. Well, that's only mainly because of how the fact that, well, since I'm going to be playing as Knuckles, about the fact that, well, much like in the classic Sonic games, I'm pretty sure, he doesn't jump as high. But regardless of such though, he does have his cool ability, as I said before, that he can able to actually just climb onto walls and glide and stuff like that. So yeah, nothing else to keep in mind. And oh my goodness, I need to get out of here onto this water before it's too late. And otherwise, oh goody, there's a spring right there, and we've made it. Whew, that was quite close, especially noticeable I've almost begun to drown. But what's up with you, Knuckles? Keep it up, I say. From that particular small slanted hill and stuff like that, so there we go, first act has been completed, and now we move on to Act 2. Yeah, if you're probably wondering, this special stage ring is no longer there. It's most likely because, well, I have to do a massive amount of editing stuff I have to deal with for the sake of this entire playthrough, because like I said before since yesterday, I will try my best able to show you guys every single playable characters in the game, so that way we don't need able to go through multiple playthroughs of the game, because otherwise, it'll be a bit time consuming in the process, especially noticeable that ever since in our, you know, Let's Plays of Sonic Events 1, 2, and 3, basically though, we always attempt able to switch between, you know, different characters or different partner combinations for the sake of Sonic Advance 3, mind you. And as a result of that kind of stuff, though, that's essentially how I go for this point. So, just to show some bit of variety for a change, so. Although I could imagine about the fact that if I was about to be able to participating for doing Sonic Mania redo Let's Play, then I can probably do it as an alternative or something. Well, we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to let me do a redo Let's Play of Sonic Mania. Well, assuming about the fact that, well, don't get me wrong, the quality is not too bad. However, though, commentary-wise is a bit off, especially noticeable in the beginning. So, that's why I've decided able to bring this out for this point, so. And also, you probably realize that the item monitors, I'm pretty sure they are based off from Sonic Rush or something. Well, mind you, about the fact that it has been a very long while since I actually played Sonic Rush, to be more specific, so. Oh yeah, as far as I'm aware, the checkpoints visual design for the sake of Sonic, and I believe also Tails as well, and I think Knuckles is essentially as well. Well, mind you, about the fact that I didn't pay attention because obviously I was a bit busy recently, especially noticeable after dealing with the forms of the majority of Boxing Day yesterday. So yeah, we'll pretty much expect how this is going, so. And also that the final event is going to be up for the sake of the forms of 2022 coming up before 2023 is about to be begun. That is of course the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day coming up, so. And eventually, though, we were able to do even more Let's Plays, including the majority of the Zelda games, I'm pretty sure, and the majority of the Metroid series of games, and still continue things on in the Donkey Kong series of games, and maybe potentially we can decide to tackle through Mario Sports titles every once in a while. Although I don't know which one it is, though, but I'm probably not gonna, you know, tell you any more details, apart from the fact that we can pretty much guarantee to able to do a redo Let's Play of Mario Sports Mixed for the third time, so that way we can able to improve the quality, and on top of all that stuff though, Mario Super Sluggers as well, so that way we can able to improve the actual commentary itself as well, so yeah, you get the idea of how this is gonna turn out in the future, so. But yeah, that's as far as I can try to explain about this for the most part right here, so, and of course, Knuckles' UI is actually also different as well. I'm not exactly sure what this is based off from, but either way though, because it has been about a couple of hours since I actually last played this after the events of, you know what I mean, after finishing up with Boxing Day and stuff like that, so, yeah, not much else to say, so. Oh, the end of the level is just right there, and the signpost is actually an upside down this time, so that's a little bit different. Especially noticeable because, well, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have enough room for its, well, you know what I mean. Oh gosh, I almost gave myself a timer for drowning, but thankfully the level transition just automatically goes phase to black, and in that way we can move on to the third act, so. Those Orbinauts. Typical Orbinauts. Just trying to ruin my runs. But, yeah, there's not much else to say, so... And of course, the Knuckles the Shield is actually, red, just like, Mighty, so, yeah, sure, it's something. Oh, wait a second, since this is Act 3 of Misty Maze Zone, I get the horrible feeling that the boss fight is going to be very identical to the likes of my least favorite boss in terms of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which, yeah, I get the strong sense of feeling we're about to be able to fight against with the Eggmobile in that particular level, so, yeah, wish me luck, I guess. Especially it's bad enough I'm going to be playing as Knuckles in this particular, you know, this entire run. Well, for the sake of the forms of this zone, so... Oh yeah, I should also mention about this actually. Much like in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and say applies to Sonic Mania as well, basically it's the fact that, relatively speaking, any forms within Dark Fortress Zone, Act 1 and 2, basically you're able to go to a different route, as opposed to its normal route, because, well, as you probably already know, is the fact that since we've already collected all 6 of those Chaos Emeralds between, you know, multiple characters throughout the majority of the playthrough, well, as you can tell about the fact that with that special stage ring doesn't show up for the sake of the forms of, you know, Act 1 in Misty Maze, well, that's only mainly because I stumbled across a glitch that I can able to actually go through the Sonic's route for Dark Fortress Zone, because for some odd reason, in Knuckles' route on Dark Fortress Zone Act 1, for some reason, even though I did manage to collect 50 rings in hand, and then when I reached the goal in the process, for some reason, the special stage ring never showed up, which I was like, okay, that's a bit off. Especially noticeable because, well, unlike Act 2, they does manage to able to show us the, you know, the special stage ring. So, yeah, what I did is the fact that I managed able to do a pretty cool glitch that I can able to actually go into the normal Sonic's route, as opposed to Knuckles' tough route. So, that way, I can able to actually get the Chaos Emeralds in hand. So, yeah, it's actually, pretty awesome as far as I can usually say for this point, so... But hopefully by that time, whenever we move on to the 5th zone, then it'll be a lot more faster and quick, for the sake of one of those zones coming up, so... And fundamentally speaking, I think we're almost there, so it's just that... Yeah, sometimes this level is very lengthy, especially noticeable in Act 1, so... Gee, no wonder why, because of a lot of water is involved or something? Well, I have no words to think about it. And sure enough, we stumbled across the Eggmobile boss fight. Well, it's not necessarily a boss fight, you have to able to reach to the top, much like the forms of how it does it on Sonic 1. Although, if you use the bubble shield with you, then it will make the entire section a lot more easy to manage. So, we're assuming if the bubble or the water will start to rise, so... And also, there's a lot of rings involved this time, so at the very least, that's pretty cool in that sense kind of way. So, yeah, that's sure it's something. Well, as long as I did manage to able to get hit already, because I lost my bubble shield, but regardless, I have managed to done it successfully. And geez, that particular entire zone of Misty Maze zone, it actually almost took me about 13 minutes. But thankfully, on the next zone, which we'll hit into right now, and also this will be the time where we'll show off the final playable character, which is the edgy Hedgehog, such as Shadow the Hedgehog, I am the ultimate life form. So yes, Shadow is actually the 5th and the final playable character in Sonic Megamix, which I will say, playing as him in a 2D game is really awesome, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, obviously Knuckles has first appeared in 1994 from the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Shadows first appeared in Sonic Adventure 2 for 2001, so yeah, you probably get the idea about the actual timeline for characters' first appearance of, so... And obviously that one-up jingle was based off from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and also you do realize about the fact that, as you can tell, we ended up on the 5th zone, and the first act's music is actually based off from Chrome Gadget Zone, from the likes of, well, let's just say by the forms of Sonic 3 competition mode. So, yeah, that's as far as I can usually recognize this particular theme music in the background, so, although this entire zone is actually based off from, well, let's just say like a recolored version of Starlight Zone. So, except the fact that, well, relatively speaking, with all that alternative level design and stuff like that, and also, as you can tell, that if you somehow managed able to, well, realize about something, that, well, obviously, the actual, the UI, as well as the actual, the item monitors, is actually pretty cool design, I'm not gonna lie. Although I'm pretty sure that the actual item monitors sprites is almost like based off from the 2D version of Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2. Well, I have no idea how do I explain this because I didn't pay attention to the actual visual identity. And, on top of all that stuff though, in terms of Shadow's gameplay style, that's basically though, is the fact that he can able to actually perform, much like in Sonic the Hedgehog as a playable character, basically, Shadow can also perform a homie attack, and on top of all that stuff though, he can also perform a double jump, which it makes things a lot easier if you manage able to having a hard time with the actual game itself. And on top of all that stuff though, as you can tell, that the reason why I keep on wasting 5 rings, well, his special move is allows you that you can able to do a bit of a boost, which it only costs about 5 rings in order able to activate the boost, so that way if you're having struggling to get your momentum going, then basically you can able to pull off a nice little boost, so that way you don't need to able to be super slow like a snail's pace or something like that. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So pretty awesome though. And here we go on to Act 2. Now, I have to admit it though right away, Act 2 might actually be the most glitchiest levels I've ever experienced. Nothing bad or anything, but there are a few times though in this particular stage, mind you, it actually took me about a couple of recording attempts for the sake of defaults of this entire stage. And this is mainly because of that very wonky glitch collision detection sometimes. Well, nothing to do with the actual speed or anything, but to be more specifically, if you go outright fast on certain segments of this stage, basically though, you're about to get stuck. And because of that though, that's how version 4.0 might be sometimes feels a bit unstable sometimes. Well, nothing broken or anything, it just feels a bit kind of unstable sometimes. And same applies to version 5.0 sometimes, so... And of course, regardless, that was those familiar seesaw contraptions from the likes of, you know, Starlight Zone from Sonic 1, so nothing different from there, I suppose. I believe this music is actually based off from that Michael Jackson video game or something, because I know for the fact that, well, I do recognize the theme song, but I just couldn't seem able to think about the lyrics, so yeah, forgive me if somehow I was able to bodge things up a little bit, so yeah, forgive me about that, so... Alright, so I get the strong sense of feeling that coming up is definitely that glitch I was going to be able to try to warn about. And that is, I believe it's going to be this part right here. If you go way too fast on this part, basically, if you manage able to just spin dash and go insanely fast, and then if you get to that point right there, you're about to get stuck. So I highly suggest you be very careful on this part, because otherwise you're potentially going to get soft locked, although the only way you can get out of it though is by getting a time over. So yeah, it's a bit of annoying though sometimes if you stumble across that particular annoying glitch. But luckily though, I didn't seem able to come across into this particular recording session. So, and yeah, it did happen to me quite a few times whenever I play as Shadow. But usually for any other characters though, I don't have that much issues, I don't think. But regardless of such though, it can be bizarre sometimes. Oh wow, that was insanely fast. Okay, that's super cool and everything, so I'm not exactly sure what the victory fanfare music comes from in terms of playing as Shadow, or Knuckles for that matter though, so anyways, now let's move on to Starry Night Zone. So of course, like I said before, this is based off from Starlight Zone from Sonic 1. Except, rather than having green aesthetics for those platforms and stuff like that, because it's now been replaced by blue. And, I'm gonna say, this looks really cool though. And also you got those familiar fans that will blow you back, and also some of those familiar seesaw platforms as we saw familiar. And on top of all that stuff though, that we got to do with a lot of rotating platforms to go across. So yeah, for the most part I'm actually really impressed with this. Although, again, I'll get to my final thoughts of this entirety of Sonic Megamix until whenever we get to the end. So, but luckily though is the fact that we haven't got that far left of it though. So anyways, let's go ahead and by the way, I really love the checkpoint markers for Shadow because it shapes a little bit differently. So yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. So it's showtime, yes indeed. So let's go and deal with Dr. Eggman with the actual exactly the same boss fight as in the forms of the original Sonic 1. But if you play as Shadow in this boss fight, well, not that much of a challenge, hey? Because with his double jump, that makes the entire boss fight a complete joke. Although, fundamentally speaking, this is before when Sonic Origins comes into play, where basically though one of those missions they're able to include is the fact that you have to deal with that particular boss fight without needing to able to utilize... What the hell? What's up with Robotnik over there? That's a bit weird. How Eggman got trapped inside, technically, in the actual animal capsule? That's super odd. I'm not gonna lie for saying that, but anyway. Metallic Based, the final zone in Sonic Megamix, and as you can see, I switched back over to Sonic right here, and of course, since about the fact that I'm gonna be doing a massive powerful of editing, that means that my lives counter is a little bit different than the other characters, so not much else to add, because obviously that's, I just want to able to show you guys some different variety, so... And obviously, Metallic Base Zone is based off from Scrap Brain Zone from Sonic 1, so... Because you couldn't tell from the actual, the visual aesthetics and stuff like that, so it feels very identical, but except with a different color. Because as far as I'm aware, the background on this zone is no longer orange, so instead it's like blue or purple. I can't really tell with the actual color coordination, but regardless of such though, I think that's as far as I can think about it, so yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Are you guys looking forward to 2023? Because, I mean, let me tell you, I'm actually really going to be hyped about the forms of 2023. Now, I highly doubt that this will be a little bit more better than the forms of how it does it on the previous 3 years we've been to. But, again, we'll probably let Maxi roll able to get onto the final thoughts of 2022. Once we're able to hit on to the final Let's Play of the entire year, so before we move on to other selections of Let's Plays, so yeah, that might be sure it's something to behold, so... But, yeah, that's as far as I can think about it, so... And obviously the checkpoint sprite is based off from Sonic CD, by the way, so... Because of the forms of that familiar shape, so... Something's worth bringing up, so... And hopefully, speaking of which, in terms of new Sonic Let's Plays in one hand, hopefully we'll get around onto potentially speaking with Sonic Origins and also Sonic Frontiers, because obviously I'm really looking forward to able to actually doing these Let's Plays all of a sudden, so... But we'll just see until whenever when 2023 is about to happen, so... And I might be curious about this though, is the fact that I'm not exactly sure if the next batch of Sonic games will be able to be appeared on 2023, but we'll see what happens there. Although aside from the fact that it's all in 2024, that we will definitely getting ourselves the third movie of Sonic the Hedgehog, so yeah, that should be exciting. Especially noticeable because, you know, still managed to have myself Sonic 1 and 2 on DVD and Blu-ray still, and I've no idea what's up with that little spinny thing right here. Oh, okay, I see, it's a trap, okay. So we have to force to go down here, and usually relatively speaking, I think that's as far as I can think about it. Although I highly doubt that I'm very grateful with those elemental shields coming to play in this zone, because obviously, as you notice, since I've got myself my electric shield with me, so that means I have no harm with the electricity stuff. But then, if the flamethrowers come into play, then obviously I will equip the actual, well, the flame shield so that I can able to protect myself. Alright, Act 2 in Metallic Base, and of course, this is based off from Act 2 from the likes of Scrap Brain Zone. So, yeah, I guess there's not much else details onto this though. Oh, wait a second, I get the feeling that in Act 3 it's gonna be, well, I could assure you that the third and final act on Metallic Base is actually going to be based off from Act 3 of Scrap Brain Zone, or if I like to call it, Labyrinth Zone Act 4, and potentially it might as well be same applies to this game as well, for its, well, let's just say Misty Maze Act 4. Well, we'll have to see what happens there, and so whenever we, you know, just trying to able to make our way towards this entire stage, so, yeah, for the most part, Metallic Base level is actually not too bad, actually. And same applies to the forms of Starry Night Zone as Shadow, despite Act 2's very weird collusion issue where it comes to likely going for clear for that little boundaries and stuff like that for that glitch. But I digress. Also, I really love the music in this level, though. I have no idea why, because it's all like rock themed or something like that. Oh, and be careful of those robotic monitors, because that will screw you up if you're not careful. And potentially that was it. It didn't take me that long, kind of thinking about it, because, well, because unlike in, you know, Misty Maze Zone, it actually took me about roughly 15 minutes tops. Alright, Eggman, or Robotnik for that matter though, we'll go ahead and deal with you again, except this time with a an Encore mode color-like aesthetic. And of course, you activate the switch, which leads me on to Act 3 of Metallic Base, or if I like to call it, Misty Maze Act 4, because, well, it's exactly the same environment, so... Oh, dang it, there's my first death! Oh, that was a bit embarrassing. Especially noticeable because I somehow got hit by a very well-placed fireball and... Wait a second! I can no longer try to pull off a nice little alternative shortcut. I'll have to do this the normal way, huh? So, apparently they placed spikes instead of, like, a safe spot. Okay, I get the idea about that. So let's just not be too so hasty at this point, despite the fact that I stumbled across 2 deaths so far, which is kind of unfortunate, because I was expecting for no death run or anything like that, but... Oh well, not the end of the world, but hey, at least, we're almost nearly at the end of the game anyway, so lightspeed dash we go! Or should I say, skadoosh! And stuff like that. So, for the sake of the forms of Kung Fu Panda's pose catchphrase, when, you know, if you've seen the Kung Fu Panda movies, you know exactly what I'm about to point things out. Oh, it's bad enough about the fact that I was hoping for a bubble shield somewhere, but unfortunately I have to wait until that goddamn air bubble will ever come out, but thankfully it did, so... But, yeah, I think that's as far as I can try to explain about the forms of, well, let's just say Sonic Megamix in general, but, again, I'll point it out on my final thoughts of the game until we basically just finish up the main, game and stuff like that. Although, technically speaking, if you ever beat the game, I believe you get yourselves an extra game as well. Like, I don't think we can probably show you guys for that particular playthrough of extra game. I think the only reason being for that is because you go through exactly the same levels again, except that you do start the game off as only 1 life, and I think fundamentally speaking, you were able to actually access the extra zone if you somehow manage to go for the extra game mode, which appears to be Act 4, the true Act 4 of Misty Lake, or should I say Misty Maze. So, yeah, I definitely heard about that, but I haven't exactly gone to it though, because unfortunately though, I've lost my save data, so that's a bit unfortunate. So, anyways, we've made it to the top, and of course, much like in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the final fight awaits. So let's see what we got this time. Oh, it's gonna make things a little bit more challenging, huh? Are you serious? Only 1 hit this time, as opposed to 8? Okay, how anticlimactic right there. So of course we'll beat Eggman, as you can tell, and that was it. That's the end of the game, folks. That's definitely the end. So, again, the ending, it plays out exactly like in Sonic 1, so not much else different from here. So yeah, let's give my final thoughts of Sonic Megamix or Sonic the Hedgehog Megamix for specifically the Sega Mega CD version. I'm very impressed with how this game plays out, although it's kind of a shame I didn't play it back in the day because I just have no idea how do I access to emulators. But whatever I play right now, I'm very impressed about this game, because that was when the Encore mode exists for the sake of Sonic Mania, and as a result though, I was really looking forward to able to playing this game, and I had a lot of fun with it. Like, obviously the physics remains the same as the forms of how it does on the classic days, even though that's one of those glitches may exist, but it might not bother me too much though, in terms of collision detection glitches sometimes. But apart from those aside things though, honestly guys, I think you should probably recommend this title. Like, sure, it's a bit short, and there are some glitchy parts here and there based off of what version you play in the game. So, yeah, I highly recommend Sonic the Hedgehog Megamix for the Sega Mega CD version. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, really. The credits last about very short as well. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, yeah, I will meet you guys until whenever it gets to the point on the final Let's Play of 2022. I can't tell you what it is though, so this is me, Sonic the Hedgehog, and until then, I'll catch you guys later.